You're listening to the New Artist Workshop.
I'm Zippity.
I'm Skippity.
Happity.
Bing. Bong.
I'm Fred.
Fred, all right.
Oh.
Hello and welcome back to your favorite podcast. Now that's what I call a franchise. I'm Peter Mancuso.
And I'm Viviana Metzger, and this is a show where Peter and I pick a film franchise and go through every single installment, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And to be clear, we're defining a franchise as a series of films with at least 4 entries. So Viviana, what are we talking about today?
Alright, so today we're talking about the 1970 film, The Great Santa Claus Switch. And this is your one and only spoiler warning, so if you haven't watched the movie, go do that before listening to this episode.
I would argue it should just be called the Santa Claus Switch, because it seems like the conflict is resolved fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. So for it to be the Great Santa Claus Switch, that would imply that it's something so monumental and historic that it's like passed down from generation to generation. The story of the time Santa was switched out for an evil wizard.
It seems pretty catastrophic.
But my point is that it gets all resolved pretty quickly. It doesn't seem like the Great Santa Claus Switch.
This is about the stakes, not about how quickly it's resolved.
Okay.
Can I read the blurb now?
Yes. Viviana's a little testy today. So
I am not tested.
she's glum.
I am not glum.
Oh.
Here's the letterbox blurb. So ridiculous. Santa Claus and his elves are ready to deliver presents to children everywhere, but Cosmo Scam has
I forgot his last name was
hatched a
Scam.
plan to kidnap Santa and take his place. One by one, Cosmo abducts Santa's elves and replaces them with his evil henchmen. Can Fred the elf save Christmas before Cosmo burglarizes the world?
Yeah, so the villain's motivation is that he wants to burglarize. Like, he basically wants to use the cover of coming into people's houses to steal stuff from them.
Just for the sake of it?
Maybe to sell it on eBay? Like,
I
afterwards?
wasn't really sure about that. I just know he was evil and doing
Like, yeah, like, what does he steal? Like, all right, is he going to hold a big auction? Like, I have here a 15-year-old wooden chair. I think for him, it's about volume. He's not going to get a lot of money for each item, but he's going to have so many items.
Yes.
He'll be able to make a fortune.
He'll be like the Grinch.
Exactly.
With a giant ball.
You gotta respect the Grinch.
Giant ball sack of.
Yeah, the giant sack.
The
Yeah.
Giant sack.
I'm sure there were some balls in there.
No,
Maybe like.
I just meant the shape of it, but then I realized that is something.
A ball sack is something.
That was an accident.
Yeah. Though you gotta give credit to the Grinch. He didn't do it for personal gain. He did it purely out of spite.
Yes.
So.
My kind of guy.
So Viviana lives her life based off spite. It's the coal that makes this train roll.
Hey, so does Haley Williams. So
She does?
Or at least that's what she says in the song.
About spite?
Yeah.
Living off spite? What
It's
song are you talking
It's
about?
like, lucky for me, I live on spite and sweet revenge.
What song is that? I have no idea. Maybe it's a newer one.
Running out of time.
Oh, I can barely understand what she's saying. She's just like.
It took me a while.
That's a great song, though.
It took me a while.
Let's do some basic info here.
All right.
So this is directed by John Moffat, who is a director on the Ed Sullivan Show. So that's the thing about this. We'll talk about it.
Oh, that's right. Ed Sullivan was part of it.
Yeah. So when we were watching it, I was like, "Why is Ed Sullivan?" Because he died only like a year or something later. So I was like, "Is this just like kind of a late in life, just cash grab thing for him?" It turns out this was technically an episode of the Ed Sullivan Show. That this basically was on during the time slot. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk, like, Ed Sullivan basically gifted Jim Henson and his team the time slot because Jim Henson and his Muppets, I was going to say puppets, but obviously they're the Muppets, but they're not like the Muppets yet. They would go on the show all the time. So almost as like a thank you for like bringing content to our show. So it was directed by John Moffat, written by Jerry Jewell, who would later go on to be like a pretty important Muppets writer for the show, from the Muppet Show, as well as a bunch of the movies. Produced by Bob Precht. This was on CBS, and this was December of 1970. Again, I didn't know this existed until we were doing this, and I imagine you're not going to turn to me being like, oh, yes, I'm actually, very familiar with the Great Santa Claus Switch. But, again, the background, literally all I wrote is that this first aired as an episode. Okay, so we can... Let's just skip. What do we think?
Oh, well, the trivia...
The trivia comes after what did we think? As like a reward.
I know, but you already said.
Okay, I'll give the trivia. I'll say it right now. The special aired in place of the Ed Sullivan Show. Ed Sullivan gave Jim Henson and his company the time slot.
No, you don't have to say that part again.
Oh, I'm not doing the other trivia part yet.
Okay, never mind.
All right, fine, I'll say it. This special featured the first appearance of Gonzo, though he is named Snarl here. Okay, that's something we talked about where, like, they would often, like, repurpose puppets.
Yeah.
Or rather, a puppet, a specific character would, like, be a background character, and then they would develop. So famously, that was, like, Elmo. Like, Elmo was created as just, like, one of the background monster characters. And I think there was, like, one episode where he had, like, a different voice.
Oh. Because
he was just a random background one.
Interesting.
And then eventually they kind of developed it into the character we all know and know. I would say love, but I from my understanding, like, I was the Elmo generation, right? Like that Zillennial generation, like where Elmo, because Elmo really became popular. I think it was like maybe the late 80s, but really the 90s. Parents fucking hated Elmo because of all the Sesame Street characters. Yeah, because for most of the Sesame Street characters, they're like pretty even keel. Elmo's like really annoying because his voice is really like high and like. Aggressive's the wrong word, but very like in your face. He has the speech pattern where he talks like in the third person.
Yeah.
Right? The Tickle Me Elmo. Parents probably hated just because they were expensive and hard to get.
Yes.
So parents and kids were like, why did I get Tickle Me Elmo? So I think
that was a sold out one too.
Yeah. So my point is that it's not preposterous, I guess, to see, but it was kind of funny to see Gonzo here. And be like, wait a minute.
That was pretty funny. Him being evil. Because he's always like semi trying to be evil or like doing some scheme. But like,
well, he's like a daredevil.
Bad at it.
He's a daredevil, so he likes to shoot himself out of a cannon.
He's in love with a chicken.
Well, I mean, who isn't? Who isn't? But he is not a whatever, which is what he's classified as until we find out he's actually an alien. The thing people always say is that Gonzo is a whatever. That's his like species. Right? But in this they are the Freckles, not the Fraggles.
Oh, it's with the C?
It's CK, like Freckles.
Oh, I thought it was Fraggle.
That's what I thought when we were watching it, and I was like, oh, that's funny. They must have come up with the word, and then like a decade later, Jim Henson was like, that's a good word. It's a shame that it just locks to this random TV special we did. Let's use it, but it's the Freckles. Of course, it's Fraggles becomes like an evolution of it.
Okay.
But they are the Freckles.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting.
So what did we think?
It was silly.
It was silly, but I thought it was more entertaining than the Cinderella.
Yeah.
Just if for no other reason, because there was more of a focus on the Muppet characters, and then even the human characters were Muppety. Like there becomes a very specific way that these Muppet movies, lowercase m movies, the way they like kind of characterize the humans.
Yes.
Not the cameos, but like the principal humans.
Okay.
Right? The way the humans are rendered in this, and by humans we're really just talking about Santa and Cosmo Scam, both played by Art Carney. who we have watched before in the Star Wars holiday special.
Which was a surprise to me because they seemed completely different.
'Cause
Like, I don't know.
It's called acting,
It's
my
called
dear.
acting.
It's called acting.
But
my
they
dear.
even looked different. I don't know.
They didn't look similar. They didn't look like one just had a fake beard. On.
like the Santa looked plumper and Cosmo looked more like he's kind of been
Scrawny.
unemployed for a week and has kind of like a shadow.
Like the 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, this was just more entertaining because there was more Muppets, and then when there were the humans, they were more Muppety, right? Mm-hmm. And I, the fact that our main character is a Muppet is important.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was Cinderella and the Prince were really the main characters,
I think it's
and
funny.
the Muppets were more like supporting.
I think it's funny. It's just like some random elf named Fred.
Because they're all like Jingle, Bingle, Dingle, and Fred, and that's like they make that gag in the song.
Yes, they have a little song, and that's how we find out when each one is replaced.
Yes, so because they do this gag where they keep replacing them with freckles,
Yes.
and they would come in and instead of Fred, it would be he would say Fred, but it'd be like hey Fred, like a little. But at one point he messes up, but he says his evil name. He's like, oh, I mean Fred.
He's like, and Snow.
And yeah, Fred is a slave because he has his whole song.
They get cookie breaks. Okay.
Oh wow! That's like being like a Google, like, oh, we don't have a union, but we get free lunch every Thursday, like this.
And they even kind of pointed out though, because like Santa's like, okay, you work on the boats, you work on the toys, you work on the dolls, blah blah blah, and I will supervise.
Yeah, I will supervise. Yeah. And this isn't really like a real thing to be mad about, but I've always Santa media,
Sure.
and the existence of Santa Claus is still undetermined. So if you're listening, we're not going to take a stance either way. But if this is an accurate depiction of Santa,
Yes.
these films never really give us a sense of why the elves do this. They just love toy making and Christmas and stuff
Well, I mean,
because literally
Santa
Fred's
Claus...
whole song is I want to help. I want to serve. Like that's an employer's wet dream of a song. Like employees who their only aspiration is to serve me. My capitalist. Santa's just a capitalist, but not even because Santa is basically benefiting off of all this unpaid labor. And just giving the shit away for free and taking all the credit.
It's a nonprofit.
No, because he profits in love. Yeah, because he gets all the love of and adoration of children everywhere.
Well, okay, in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, the explanation is that they are professionally toy makers. So
Yes.
it is kind of what they do. And they also live there.
But I'm going to see that.
The northern region is where they reside.
See, I'm not sure if that film is historically accurate to the real Santa because there's only like a handful of the elves. Mm-hmm. But surely the Santa of our world, of the real world, would need way more elves because those elves are just doing it for this one town and then they expand, but they never explain they hired more little people.
Well,
they had lots of children.
They go to school. Like we saw an elf. It's a whole ecosystem.
I'm noticing there's no consistent. Every film, you would think something so clearly documented as something real.
We do have a tracker.
I know we have a tracker, so you would think it's just surprising that every single film tells a different way of how they do it. Mm-hmm. And surely, like what's the real answer? Like, how do they do it? I don't know.
Magic.
I'm forgetting the magic.
Christmas magic.
I'm forgetting about the Christmas magic.
See the Christmas magic that he had, and they also dispel some I don't know
some myths?
Suspicions with the fact that he only gets his powers on Christmas.
They said that in this one?
Or like around Christmas. Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yes, and he's like, "Oh, do another magic trick." And he's like, "Well, I can't do like a magic trick. I just have like Christmas magic." So I can like
Oh, but they didn't say it's only one part of the year, but he's just saying like my magic helps like reindeer fly. It doesn't help open locked cells.
Well, I think he
Yeah.
also said it was like during that time. So
Yeah.
yeah, and he changed the hearts of
Fig and Thog.
Fig and Thog.
The giant full body Muppets
Yes.
that are really creepy because like it's like very stiff.
No, they're not.
Because they just because they move really stiffly and really the only movement is their mouth just like flaps up and down really slowly.
Made some great faces though.
They did make some great faces. They were like, "What?" They did, but Fred's song is hilarious.
Yes.
He's singing because he's singing about how he's gonna help Santa. He doesn't even notice Thig and Thog are kidnapping Santa. and Jim Henson does a great performance. He's like, "I want to help!" Like he's going like it's this big
was he
song
doing?
and dance.
He did Fred.
Yeah, that's Jim. You can tell it's Jim Henson because it just sounds like Ernie.
I don't know.
That's another thing. It's funny to like hear like voices you recognize, like Muppet voices for like classic characters, but they're just used like randomly here. I'm like, oh, that's Cookie Monster. Like you know what I mean? Like Frank Oz is just gonna use that kind of voice again for you know these. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's funny to hear like the different, like okay, that's Bert, that's Miss Piggy, or whatever it might be, right?
Well, yeah, you know them pretty well, so.
But I feel like children everywhere know what Cookie Monster sounds like.
I know, but I'm saying using a similar voice for a different character.
So my point is that it's not just similar; it's like the same voice.
No, it's not the same.
Sometimes it's the same.
No.
We'll leave.
Ernie has a different speech pattern.
I guess so. Ernie's very normal. He's like one of the most normal ones.
I know.
Because even Bert's like, no. He's so like anal retentive. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about this. It was fine.
Yeah. I don't. Why?
I liked how the elves were very Muppety.
Why does Scam live there? I didn't realize Santa had neighbors, let alone evil wizards.
Yeah, like you would think Santa would have like his like security forces like
You would think it'd be down locked because, you know, we gotta make sure no one steals the presents.
like you would think there would basically be like a DMZ for like a certain period, like you know what I mean, like no one can live anywhere within like a certain mile radius of the North Pole or something.
That's what they say.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that, but I tried to buy some real estate up there, but I faced some zoning issues because of the
Pole.
yeah. Again, we talked about Ed Sullivan, but it's really funny because it feels like he just showed up on the day, and they told him what he was going to be doing. Like, oh, we're doing this Muppet Christmas special thing. And he was like, okay, and then just like the way he's reading it to the kids, like it seems like he's just making up his lines. He's just like, yeah, like.
He just seems like a drunk grandpa. Like,
Why does he look like Richard Nixon? That's another thing.
I guess so.
He looks a lot. No, because I was looking up Letterboxd reviews, and someone mentioned it, and I was
really?
like, it wasn't just me who thought it. Like he looks like Richard Nixon, who was president at this time as well.
Well, you know, people trying to look sharp.
People trying to look like Richard Nixon, one of our ugliest presidents ever, if we're being honest. But yeah, like you're starting to get a little bit of that, and when I say we're starting to get, I mean we had a little bit in the last one, but there's a lot more of the kind of like subversive humor. Excuse me, listeners. That subversive humor,
Yes.
right? Like so, when there's like kind of a moment with Cosmo talking to like it's almost like a mirror on the wall kind of thing, but it's like a Frackle emerges from like this like
Yes,
this
with
like
the
pool,
wings.
right? And he's like, well, my plans succeed. And the guy's like, let me look into the stars of the ancient crystals, blah, blah, blah. And what I see is maybe. Right? So it's like little things like that just kind of like, it's nothing crazy. And then, of course, and Fred is subversive, It's so subversive.
Yeah.
So countercultural.
Yeah. And then there's what else?
The rock song.
Santa gets locked up. So not only does he steal the elves, of course, as we know, but he also steals Santa, right?
He starts with Santa.
Can't have him hanging about.
Yeah, he starts with Santa.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right. The rock song is great. And you might be thinking, where is there a rock song? Not the rock song you're thinking of. It's a song when they are the elves disguise themselves as rocks.
In order to escape.
And they do like this little like soft shoe song.
and
he makes lots of rock puns.
Yeah, a bunch of rock puns. And it's pretty funny.
And it made me laugh a lot because he makes a joke about taking things for granted. And it's funny because Viviana, when she says take it for granted, she kind of slurs it so it sounds like she's saying granite. And I was like, are you saying take it for granite? Because I could see you saying that because it's like, oh, like take it for granted, like it's solid, like you're taking it to be a solid fact.
No. For granted.
See, it sounds like you just said granite.
Granted.
Granted. Take it for granted.
Granted.
Take it for granted.
Ted Kennedy.
This would be one of our worst episodes ever. I'm sorry, listeners. Like, I don't know why.
I wish I could give some more, but I
don't know what else to say about it.
Say.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like I don't know.
It's just a man playing two characters with some funny puppets. And...
Again, it's the Muppets. They're still They're still finding their footing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say this had like the last one had higher highs but lower lows, whereas this one's just kind of consistently like good. Mm-hmm. Or solid, I should say. Or that's almost too generous. It's fine. This is fine. I did like the utter chaos at the end with the freckles. Like it was just like utter chaos.
When they were looking for them?
Yeah. There's like they're like they're all like flying around, running around.
Like, is this one of the elves? Like, no, that's just a rock, you fool.
You fool. Vivian, I feel like you would be a great like evil mastermind. With henchmen. Like, I feel like you were born to have incompetent henchmen who can't carry out your plan.
Yeah.
And you're like, you fools!
Yes. Well, as a child, I did want a personal secretary because I needed...
No, say what you wanted a slave. That's what you told me.
I didn't know what it meant! I didn't know the hundreds and thousands of years of history of what a slave meant. I just thought a slave would be able to handle my appointments, okay? You get a lot of homework in school. You gotta hang out with your friends. Then you got chores. You gotta take care of the dog.
You're like, I don't even need them to do this stuff. I just need them to manage my calendar.
I just need some help here. So yes, I did make a wager on a dare for a slave.
If I kiss you, you will be my slave. And the boy said yes. And then you never saw him again. So there's a man, there's a full-grown man walking around who is your slave. He doesn't even know it.
No. You're inaccurate.
Oh.
Inaccurate. I had to kiss another boy, and that boy wagered another boy to be my slave.
Oh, so he was offering up someone else's servitude?
He agreed to it.
Why did this other boy agree to it? He was like, I guess so. My hands are tied.
I don't know.
What is he getting out of it?
A decent pension.
A decent pension? I don't think as a slave you get a pension. Do you want to hear?
Like I said, I didn't know what.
I think everyone involved, all the 5-year-olds involved in this.
All I knew as slave was that they helped you, that they worked for you.
Oh my gosh!
I didn't realize all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to hear some critical reception?
I wasn't allowed to watch Caillou, okay? So my perception of the world was a
Did
little
Caillou have
skewed.
slaves? Like, if I only watched Caillou, I would have a better
but he was just
understanding
a
of slavery.
brat. So if I couldn't watch a bratty kid, then how would I know about the destitute of chattel slavery?
It's okay if he's bratty. Doesn't he have cancer? Or is that just like a dark
bald.
theory, like the dark children's TV theory? Like the whole show is actually his hallucination while he's in the hospital with like undergoing like chemo or something.
What?
Like,
No, I'm pretty sure he's just bald. Like Little Bill.
maybe instead of watching Caillou, I don't think you needed to have watched Caillou. I think you just need to watch Roots. That you'll understand.
I watched that about like a decade later.
Okay. I've never seen Roots.
I don't know if I've seen all the parts, but I remember watching at least some of it.
I just know it was
It
a
is quite
phenomenon.
long. It is quite long.
Unlike this movie, Roots was a phenomenon. It was right around the same time, wasn't it? Wasn't that? Or maybe that was like the late 70s, right?
I have no idea.
Anyway, do you want to hear some critical reception?
Sure.
So again, literally no
Well-
reviews for this.
If I did have a slave, I would also give them cookie breaks.
You would give them cookie breaks? Okay, that's good. You're a benevolent slave owner. You, Thomas Jefferson, get down from that pedestal. Viviana's going up there as the true benevolent slave owner.
Ah, I'm not a slave owner.
Oh, thank you for clarifying.
I just needed a personal assistant.
Okay, on Letterboxd, I'm moving on. On Letterboxd has a 3.29.
I want that to be clear. No,
Listeners, if it wasn't clear, Viviana does not own any human beings as property.
nor do I have the desire to.
That one's debatable. In a lot of ways, I'm like your slave.
That is not true.
On Letterboxd has a 3.29 out of 5, so not awful. Again, I'm surprised these are getting as high of scores as they are. But I would imagine some of these are so obscure, they're just it's just self-selection of like people who like the Muppets
Yeah.
watching these, so they're more generous than like if millions of people watch this and rated it on Letterboxd.
They're generous and nostalgic.
Or nostalgic, right? That's the thing is, I don't know if this was. I wonder if this was released like on VHS later, because I can imagine Cinderella was. Mm-hmm.
That seems like a VHS movie.
Like that's something. I think. In fact, like I'm pretty sure I know for a fact that, the Hey Cinderella was released like on VHS. I don't see anything on the Wikipedia about this being re-released.
No, it was
On
just
home
a
media.
show. It was just a show.
It was. Here's some reviews. Are you ready?
Yes.
Parker writes, every little kid loves Ed Sullivan, I guess. I feel like even in the late 70s,
he
like,
said-
why would kids be like, oh, I gotta watch the Ed Sullivan show?
No, but he even said in the beginning, like, these are the kids of like the crew.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not
He
remember
was
that.
like, these little girls and boys are the children of our crew making the show.
They were just broad. They had no idea what was going on. And that segues really well into the next note. The next review, Matt Card says, so good, every time it would cut back to Ed Sullivan and the kids are all staring at him like, and it's the emoji like, huh? And Kate writes, love the image of Santa throwing his elves in the dungeon.
Really true. It's his true self.
It's his true self. All right, Viviana.
Get these fucking presents ready!
Go get these fucking presents. I'm sorry, the real Santa would never curse.
We only got one night to do this!
No, don't they do it all year? They're working?
I know, but they've only got one night to do the job, so they need everything to be done on time.
That's the thing. You would think. Now, I'm not, I'm not part of it. I don't know the conditions. But you would think you would want to have all the presents done by like October. And then you're just like getting everything, like you're getting them wrapped. You're figuring out Santa's flight plan. Like you would ideally you would want that it done ahead of time. They're still making shit. It's Christmas Eve.
There are billions of children.
I'm just saying, it's kind of like coming right down to the wire there.
That's why in Elf they show that they have quotas. It's like, how many, what does it
Quotas
say?
implies that means if you don't meet your quota, you're gonna get fired, which means that it's a job. So
No,
like, what
it's
happens?
the quota of we need to have enough toys by the time it's time to have toys.
Yeah, but what happens if you don't meet the quota? Like, you fired, and since you're not doing the job that gives an elf purpose,
No,
you cease to exist?
No, you get stuck on Jack in the Box duty. You get stuck on quality control.
Oh, you get stuck on the less fun stuff.
Yes.
So what you're saying is that you have to have a job, and therefore you have no choice.
What else would you do?
I
Just
don't know, maybe
sit around in the snow?
maybe you want to be a dentist,
Oh.
as we learned from the documentary Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
It would be good to have some dentistry up there.
That's the
There's
thing.
a lot of candy and cookie eating.
That's the thing. It's like in the military, there are people who aren't soldiers, because like they need someone to do certain things, right? Like, so like I wonder, is there like a class of elves who have to do like there's like an elf mailman, or do they all work on toys and in their spare time they do the other jobs? Like
Spare time.
Like what happens if a toilet gets backed up? Like who are they gonna call? Like someone has to be someone has to know about plumbing.
Well, they would call the elves with attitude.
The elves with attitude are like the CIA.
The elves with plumbing.
The elves.
The elves with HVAC.
HVAC experience. Viviana, favorite part. Seeing their doctor line. A gooby gooby goo.
I don't know. I guess maybe when they're getting switched out and they're doing their little song, their little name song.
That was pretty funny.
And then by the end, they're all just like, and snarl.
Yeah. That was pretty hilarious.
Yes.
I think I'm just going to say Fred. He was just like an everyman, you know what I mean? He was like an unlikely hero, you know, like the least of them.
He's just a humble servant.
He's just a humble servant, doesn't even get a fun elf name. He's just Fred.
Well, Jingle and Tangle and Pringle.
Whatever their names
whatever
are,
is
yeah.
already taken. So
I know. There's only so many names you can rhyme with Ingle. Or whatever it is.
That's why Santa's name is Chris. Remember, it's like Jingle, Jangle, Tangle, Wangle, whatever, and Chris.
Well, see, I've always said that this movie did the joke I've always said in Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Kris Kringle.
When because their names are like Kringle, like for sure. I don't remember what they are in this, but they are like Kringle, Dingle, Jingle. I always thought it'd be really funny in that movie if they were like, let me call my brothers Bingle, Jingle, Dringle, Fred.
They do.
Not in Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
They have like a bunch of brothers.
Yes, but they all have the rhyming name. I've always said since I was a kid it'd be funny if one of them had just like a normal name.
Yeah, that's
They do
Chris.
not. No, I'm saying there's the elves. Not Chris. This is the scene when Kris Kringle's just a baby.
Yes.
I'm talking about when he calls out all of his brothers by name. He's like, let me call my brothers. And he says them all.
I know. And then they're like, what should we call him? Oh, Chris.
No, I'm just
Not Fingal.
Are you dense? I'm telling
No.
you that one gag, I'm not saying within the world of the story they ever have another brother that doesn't rhyme with Jingle.
I'm saying the idea is that you would think that they would give a similar name to the new baby, but they don't. So later, when they say it again, it ends with Chris.
You're thinking like you're in the story. I'm just saying that one line.
Okay.
The one line he says.
Okay.
Oy vey. Viviana, 1 to 10.
6.
What do you get? Viviana is glum today.
I am not glum.
A 6. Why a 6?
Because
Why not a 7? Why not a 5? Why 6?
I don't think it was bad. I think it was entertaining, but it is what it is.
Would you say it leaves something to be desired?
Sure.
Okay. All right. And you also gave the Hey Cinderella 6.
I'm going to put it on top.
You're putting it on top?
Yes.
Santa Claus switch going on top. Alrighty there. Well, you know what? I think I'm literally just going to copy you and do exactly what you do. I'm also giving it this a 6 because it's fine. You know what I mean? It's a net positive, but if I'm on my deathbed and someone's like, you never watched The Great Santa Claus Switch ever again, like you forgot to watch it and you're about to die, I'm not going to go, oh no! I'm just going to go, oh yeah, that exists. And then I'll die.
I don't think anyone would say that about any Muppet movies.
There's like, one of these movies is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Okay.
How dare you? How dare?
Okay, if you say so.
How dare you impugn the Muppets? You love the Muppets. Acting too cool
They're
for
funny
school.
Sometimes.
They're funny every time. And they speak to your humor exactly.
No, not all the time. I don't understand it.
Oh. You're just like, I don't get it. Oh my gosh. I think it's a rainy day in New York City today. I'm starving. All I had was chicken nuggets for lunch. And not a lot of them.
What's wrong with chicken nuggets?
There's just not very... I'm hungry. It's like 7 o'clock. So I think we got to wrap this up.
Okay.
And move on to the next one. Because that's it for this week's episode of Now That's What I Call a Franchise. Next week, we'll be watching the next film in the franchise. The 1971 film Tales from Muppetland, The Frog Prince. Viviana, where can they find us?
Ooh, with Kermie?
Presumably.
Presumably with Kermie.
Kermie!
You guys can find us wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Franchise Podcast.
And if you have the time, leave a rating for us at Apple Podcasts, because apparently that helps.
And if you have even more time, leave us a review too.
We know you have many podcasting options, and we thank you for choosing us. Peace out, guys.
Later, Gator.